Big deal. That's always went with the territory. I'll see you in Disneyland.
My defense, because I am such a part of it. I mean, I obviously I'm going to bear the consequences, so why not bear the responsibility?
Okay, sir, is she still alive?
You're alive.
When was the last time you saw her?
Mama, I killed Dean.
Brian?
Ma'am?
What are you doing?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Welcome to 50 States of Madness.
Welcome to 50 States of Madness.
Hi, welcome back, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, 2025.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, it was. It came in so super fast, but the couple tragedies. I'm going to start this off with the downer, but the couple tragedies around the world, like that started off our New Year, really freaking sucks.
Yeah, very sad.
Yeah, it's really, really sad. But 2025 is here, and hopefully it's going to be a good year for all of us and all of our people out there that watch us. So
it's going to be. We're coming back strong, guys.
Yeah.
With that being said, if there's any time to join our Patreon, it would be now.
Yes. We just finished some videos for our Patreons out there, and they are gems.
Yeah. So basically, our Patreon, I know most true crime podcasts or hauntings or whatever, they usually do like extensive deep dives on cases for their Patreon. Our Patreon, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, I feel like we have so much bad news and we share such grim stories half the time, and a lot of them don't come out with happy endings, that I feel like we need a happy place where we relieve our stress.
Yeah.
And I think comedy's our thing.
Well, yeah, I definitely think that, I mean, maybe not me, but for sure her. For sure Shannon is definitely in the wrong business. 1,000% in the wrong business, doing the wrong podcast, like everything is, she just lived her life completely wrong. So, I just figured giving her that little outlet is our Patreon. And for some of you guys who have seen her TikToks and stuff like that, she's just, I really don't even, but yeah, there's just no words. So what we decided we're going to do is make our Patreon more of like a place to go if you need a good laugh, to get yourself out of a slump.
And it's always changing. I mean, one week we might do a deep dive because something happened out there that, needs it. But for the most part, it's not really something that you go to for, it's entertainment. We're here just to entertain, and that's what our podcast is about.
Yeah. And last Christmas, maybe we'll have to repost that because we didn't do that on our Patreon. We actually put that on our YouTube channel, but we did with Dan, we did the SNL skit Sweaty Balls.
Yeah, we need to do another skit with Dan. That was a lot of fun.
So we're going to start doing more of that, and we promise that we're going to really get on top of our Patreon.
We try to keep promising. I know.
Yeah.
It's been really hard though.
Slacking, yeah.
But my daughter's officially moved back from Texas. Woo woo! And so I'm really excited. And so hopefully with that kind of, not there, that we can really focus and do a lot more.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited.
Yeah. So on our Patreon for January, we have done some TikToks that a lot of people have sent us over probably the last year or two, to be honest with you.
Thank you for sending those TikToks.
Please do this. Yes. Please, you guys have to do this. Please, you guys have to do this. So we picked a few and we did them, and they will be on our January Patreon. So
check it out.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be very interesting.
Oh, let me open this back up because we're going to dive into this story.
Yeah. So our story today, it's been in the back of my mind for a long time. It's an old story that I wanted to cover, but I didn't because I feel like it's kind of a controversial topic.
I actually thought it happened a different way. So when we were kind of talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah. And when she gets into it, I'll say how I thought the story went, but I'm really interested in
it's
knowing the facts.
I thought it was controversial because it involves a gay man, and I know that anything of that nature these days is usually very controversial. And so I just felt like maybe I didn't want to touch it. But then my boss actually sent me a clip of something where they talked about this story, and he was like, hey, have you ever heard of this story? And I thought, you know what, let's just do it.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk today about a tragedy that happened after filming the Jenny Jones show. And I'm sure a lot of you probably don't know what the Jenny Jones show is.
Who's Jenny Jones?
So yeah, we're going to kind of age ourselves here. But Jenny Jones was a talk show back in the 90s, along with like Ricky Lake, Phil Donahue, Oprah, Sally Jesse.
Sally Jesse Raphael. She was like on like 2 o'clock or something before Oprah or something. But it was all during that daytime talk show.
Yeah.
Where there was a ton of them out there. I know we still have some. Like I know we have
Jerry Springer and
Jerry Springer
and all those.
Yeah.
They were all kind of.
We don't really have as many as we did before, because now we have the Drew Barrymore show.
There's
Kelly
another
Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson. My mom watches Kelly Clarkson.
So, but I don't think there's really like
and it's not. I don't think it's like it was back then. Like the Jerry Springer show was known for Jerry, like where people would fight.
Geraldo Rivera.
Yeah. And then Maury Povich was known for like the paternity test. Is he the father? Is he not the father? So I think they're just, they're a little different these days.
Back now it's more like with celebrities, kind of like a nighttime show.
Yes.
But during the day.
During the day.
Back then it was outing people.
Entertainment.
It was more, your neighbor who, likes to dance naked in front of the windows, come on out,
And then Shannon comes out.
There I go, talking about how I like to dance naked in front of my window. And, I'm in my house. I should be able to do what I want to do. But all the neighbors are offended because I have nothing but glass in front of my, home. Things like that. It was like real people with real stories and a lot of drama. So, So Jenny Jones was no different.
Yeah. So this happened back in the 90s. So some of you might not even have been born yet, or maybe you were just children at this time.
I don't really know if that's our demographic, but
I'm not real sure. I'm really not sure. Okay. So we're going to talk about two men, Scott Amedure and Jonathan Schmitz. So Scott was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Scott Bernard Amedure, and he lived an all-American life. His father, Frank, was a truck driver, and his mother, Patricia, was a housewife. Shortly after Amedure was born, the family moved to Michigan, and Frank and Patricia divorced shortly thereafter. Amedure subsequently dropped out of high school to enroll in the Army, where he served for 3 years before being honorably discharged with the rank of specialist. He returned home to Michigan, where he worked in the telecommunications industry for several years before finally switching over to bartending, his preferred profession because he enjoyed the social life that came with it. As an out and proud gay man, Scott was generous when it came to his community and even took in his friends who were suffering from HIV complications at a time when no one else would do so.
And this was during a time when
the AIDS epidemic was
huge. And you did in the 90s, though, we did have some grasp on how you can catch it by then, not like the 80s where,
everybody was misinformed.
They were really scared. But it was still running very rampant among the public in general, not just through the gay population, but through straight children were being born with
blood transfusions, everything.
So it was a lot.
Yeah, it was a big deal. So for him to do this really showed his character, I think, for him, to help people out. His life was forever changed when he went on the Jenny Jones show on March 6, 1995 to confess a secret crush he had on his friend Jonathan Schmitz. According to Jonathan, he was completely blindsided by the revelation that Scott was his secret admirer. The Jenny Jones producers, however, argued that they told Schmitz that the person could be a man or a woman. So this is where we get into like he said, she said kind of thing.
So was John straight or gay?
Straight.
Okay.
And the producers say, we told him that it could be either a man or a woman. It was just somebody that has a secret crush on you. And he was okay with that. 3 days after the show was taped, Amedure reportedly left a suggestive note in Jonathan's mailbox, leading to a lethal confrontation. After Amedure admitted to Jonathan that he left the note in the mailbox, Jonathan went to his car, pulled out a shotgun, and fired 2 rounds into his chest, killing him instantly in what became known as the Jenny Jones murder. Jonathan then phoned 911 and confessed to the murder, though he would later testify that he felt gay panic in his defense.
What is gay panic?
I think that gay panic is the feeling, and I'm trying to word this where people aren't going to come at me, but because this man confessed that he had feelings for him, that people were going to think that he was gay as well.
Oh, so he didn't want people, and that's where I heard in the story that he was upset because this was all done on a TV show in front of everybody. So when Scott came on the show and confessed, John was there. So it was broadcast everywhere.
Right.
So people could see. And when they did these shows, it didn't take a week for them to air. It was like the next day that was on the air. If not that same day, I don't even know if it was that same day. I don't think they were live.
It was pretty quickly
that these were on the air. So I'm going to guarantee that.
Well, the show never aired.
Oh, the show never aired.
The show never aired.
So 3 days later, the show hadn't aired yet. Okay, so he was afraid that it was going to get out.
So I'm just assuming that that's what he's describing as gay panic, is that, society was then going to view him as a gay man. So nevertheless, in 1996, he was ultimately convicted of second-degree murder. The conviction was subsequently overturned on appeal, but a 1999 retrial found Jonathan Schmitz guilty of the same charge, and he received the same sentence. In 2017, Jonathan Schmitz was released from jail.
So how much time? 11 years?
No,
17 to 21.
1999.
1999
to 2017.
To 2017.
Yeah. So he was
10, 16 years.
Yeah. So he was in there for a while. And
17, 18.
And I believe his sentence,
My math
his sentence was like 25 to 50 years, something like that.
Okay.
That's what
so
he was initially. Yeah.
Early.
So he was released a little early. In 2017, Jonathan was released from jail, and though he remained out of the spotlight ever since, Frank Amedure Jr., Scott's brother, wasn't convinced that his brother's killer had learned his lesson. I wanted assurance that the decision was not based on just good behavior in prison. I'd like to know that he learned something, that he's a changed man, is no longer homophobic, and has gotten psychological care. It's hard to overstate just how different things were back in the 90s. And that is the truth.
Yeah, I think if it would have happened now, the reaction wouldn't have been as extreme on Jonathan's part.
Because now I kind of feel like, I don't want to get into it, but
it's more
yes,
accepted.
it was definitely different. It was not accepted. And times were just different back then. And if this happened, like if, this was on a talk show today, it would not be a big deal.
No, I don't even think it would have been a story.
No, yeah, it wouldn't. They would probably be like, and what?
Yeah, I don't even think they would
what's
have
your
done
topic?
it.
Yeah, what's your big deal?
Think they would have done it.
Yeah,
so.
but back then in the 90s, though, it was,
and it was all about shock TV back then too.
Yes, they wanted that fight.
Yeah, they
wanted
them.
So
I do feel that Jenny Jones was responsible in some form or another, the show or the producers.
Big thing. That's the big thing that is everybody gets hung up on this case, and we can talk about it at the end, like everybody's feelings on, and I would love to know your feelings on, do you feel that the producers hold some responsibility for the outcome of this?
How far can a TV show go before it's too far?
Yeah.
I mean, I even remember when Survivor first came out on TV, like, putting people out on an island, not even feeding them, having them to survive on their own. And the conditions were way more extreme in the first episode than the subsequent episodes or seasons, because they started learning that, you can't really do that
it's not
to
okay.
people. Yeah, it's not okay. So I'm
This
just
isn't a
wondering-
game.
Yeah, when people start starving and fighting each other. But I feel like they were trying to outdo each other, each of these talk shows.
Yes.
And I just think that transparency is always best. And I
Well,
think they went a little
and the
too far.
producers are saying, you know, that they told him that this could be a male or a female. Now they're claiming no, you know, producers are claiming yes. And I don't know if they back then signed contracts, whatever the case may be, if it's in there, if it's not. So homosexuality was a curiosity at the time, one that was reserved for daytime talk shows like the Jenny Jones Show. And when viewed through today's lens, there's little question that Scott Amedure would still be alive today if he hadn't gone on that show with Jonathan Schmitz. So that's their argument, is if he wouldn't have, you know, been brought on that show, he would still be here today.
I believe that. I actually 100% believe that. I don't think it was necessarily the note that put him over the top. I think if he would have left the note without going on the show, that it wouldn't have had such an extreme reaction.
Right, because
but like you said, that panic wouldn't have been, it would have just been
it was just between him and
between the
two
men.
of them.
Yeah, and he claimed that they were friends. I wonder how close of friends they were. They just know each other because they lived in the same building.
Also, okay, so here's another thing. When he walked out, and there's clips of it we can put in, but when he walked out onto the stage, there was a female there, and she was a friend of his too. So automatically you see him come out and his eyes go to her like, oh, she has a crush on me.
Yeah.
And then he confesses that it's really, you know, Scott confesses that it's really him.
So did they plant the girl there on purpose for him to
Of course.
Yeah.
You know,
so that's,
because it's a mutual
that's
friend.
being sneaky
So
by the show.
You see how things, and when he comes out, he hugs the girl, and then Jonathan stands up and he like kind of tries to hug him, and Scott just kind of like does like a little side hug, but kind of like turns.
Wait, why
you
does
can
Scott?
see
No,
that-
Jonathan does the side hug because Scott's the one who.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes,
Okay.
sorry. I'm getting them confused. But you can see the tension between, like,
The
he
two
doesn't
guys.
even want to hug him because
Yeah.
he's like, this is uncomfortable
Yeah.
for me. So you can see that like in the clip, and we can put that in there.
All right, let's see if he really is. Get the headphones off of John, and let's have John come out here and see who has the crush on him. Here's John. Hi, John. Did you think Donna had the crush on you?
Did I? No, we're good friends.
Well, guess what? It's Scott that has the crush on you.
You lied to me.
There were many in the 1990s that were also convinced that the Jenny Jones show murder could have been completely avoided. Writing for the Buffalo News, attorney Alan Dershowitz said he believed that Jones and her producers were more than just negligent in their behavior. In fact, he believed that Schmidt's malice played more of a role in Amedure's death than his claims of a gay panic. Though Dershowitz stopped just short of outright accusing Jones and her producers of murder. Jenny Jones should not take any solace from the legal conclusion that her show's conduct does not excuse Schmitz's conduct, he wrote. The First Amendment protects the show from any legal consequences, but it does not immunize them from the criticism which they justly deserved for their irresponsible actions. So this whole thing, we'll go on and talk about it, but there's a civil trial that also happened.
Yeah, with the family towards Jenny Jones.
And they put her on the stand. Jenny Jones was on the stand. And this guy, his name was Jeffrey Feiger. And this attorney is like, everybody was afraid of him. The way that he conducted himself, the way he questioned people, he was just very straightforward and would catch people in all kinds of circumstances.
And he was the attorney for
the Amedure family during this civil suit. And so they put her up on the stand, And he does, you can tell that she's rehearsed what she's supposed to say, but he does get her when he starts to question her about, you know, certain things. But the Jenny Jones show was, they sued for $25 million, and then it was later overturned.
So they were
In a
the
civil
family.
suit. The family was awarded $25 million. Never saw any of it because then it was overturned by the Michigan Court of Appeals. So,
because they were protected by the First Amendment,
of course.
But I feel like the First Amendment, that's like saying, like, I don't know. I understand the First Amendment. I don't want to, but does that give people the right to, I don't know. I feel like it was just such a sleazy, sneaky thing to do in a public kind of way that it's almost like bullying. And so I feel like maybe not necessarily on the First Amendment, but in the fact that there were damages that were done by your actions. And how is that not a consequence? Like, you know, I don't know. I don't know how to put it into words.
I mean, I would love to hear everybody's thoughts and how they feel that, you know, who should have been held responsible for this, or even if, you know, even partially held responsible.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously $25 million is not going to bring him back.
No.
That's not, you know, that's not a way to look at it either. But they do need to, I feel that they do need to be held responsible partially for this because, yeah, it's not a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
I wonder if they didn't necessarily, because then how many people can go after a talk show, like, you know, after that, like say they awarded them and then other people say, well, I had damages. I got this, you know, mental, you know, like, so I can see it as far as you're in agreement to be on the show. And
you also have to look at it not in today's world.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to do because in today's world, like we said, this wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah.
You have to look at it in the 90s, like when this actually happened, because times were so different back then.
But I also think in today's world, if a case like this, if this actually repeated itself, I think the family would have been awarded money.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like, it's funny. It's like, like something like this probably wouldn't have happened nowadays, but if it did, I feel like
things
the family would have been awarded money. But I don't know. I mean, because I feel like, you know, if somebody can get, you know, millions of dollars for eating a hot chicken nugget from McDonald's.
Oh God, yeah.
Then
or burning yourself on a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Then I guess, you know.
That's the truth.
Like, you know, no one's held responsible for their own actions. So I don't know. Let's just see. So, I would really be interested in what people's thoughts are. I'm
curious to see, especially now in today's day and age. I'm really curious to see how people feel about this. And it's a horrible story. It's a terribly sad story.
Yeah. Considering what was lost.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really sad when you think about, like, if that was really his mindset, he was like in a state of panic, like, oh my God, people are going to think that I'm gay.
And now we think, like, how horrible is that? It's not even a bad thing. Like, who cares?
Right. And
I don't care if people think me and her together, sisters, dating. It doesn't matter.
Because let me tell you, every time we go somewhere, they always think we're a couple. She never carries a purse. I always carry a purse. I'm like, we are just like,
it's just,
so,
but I mean, who cares? But I can see how back then, though, the macho image, it was a big deal. It
was a big deal. No, for sure.
Yeah,
it absolutely was. So I'm really curious to hear everybody's take on this story, and so comment below and let us know your feelings on how you think the Jenny Jones show producers were responsible for this, partly responsible for this, or absolutely not at all.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. So
me too.
Yeah. So welcome to 2025.
Yay.
Sign up for our Patreon, patreon.com/50 States of Madness. If you want some laughs every month, you know, there's 3 different tiers. We're here to make you laugh.
Yes.
And we will see you guys next week.
Yeah. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.